Good afternoon, I'm Oliver Card, and we have two guys doing podcasts. We don't know where they are, we don't know who they are. They're talking about films, they're giving away spoilers. Stop them. I'm just
We're
joking,
not
guys.
really
Welcome back to
illegal, though.
Fortune Theory.
How are we illegal?
I don't know.
Black Widow, as you can see by the title.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it already,
spoil it.
go watch it. If you have,
Go
what do you
watch
think
it
of
in
it?
cinemas.
Because we're going to be talking about it right now. So, there. In
I'm
cinemas.
Oliver, this is Patrick.
How you doing? Welcome to Fortune Theory. Yeah, if you live in the UK, it came out on Wednesday. And, you good?
Yeah, I was trying to make sure that I didn't talk over you and you didn't talk over me. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, it came out on Wednesday in the UK. When does it come out in the US? Well, it's now on Disney Premier Access.
Today.
It comes out today in the US in cinemas.
It comes out today. It comes out today.
Yeah,
I think either today or yesterday. But yeah, like Pat said, it's on Premier Access on Disney Plus as well. So if you're willing to pay the extra $19.99 to watch it as well and just support Disney Plus and support the film industry, this will be the only time they do that for the MCU. By the way, post this release, we've got Shang-Chi next, I think. Yeah, we got Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings as our next MCU entry for terms of theatrical films. So that'll be coming out purely in cinemas. They've only done this way because they didn't know at the time if the cinemas would be reopened due to the pandemic, and also just to make sure that they can start gaining their audience back as well.
Yeah.
Which is a big benefit for Disney and Marvel. So yeah, 2 days ago in the UK, like Pat said, it came out in cinemas. As we are big movie media fans, we endorse going to the cinema to watch this because it is a cinema movie, obviously, because it's,
go for
Marvel
the theatrical experience. Yeah,
we'll always say go for that. So I'd endorse that more than watching it on Disney Plus, and I think it's cheaper anyway. But yeah,
yes, like, you consider the price of Premier Access over like a £10 to £15 or dollar ticket.
At my cinema, for a ticket for me, I get in for free because I work there, but if I was a customer, I'd be paying $9.99. But on Disney Plus, not only on top of my subscription, I'd be paying $19.99 as well just to watch it. But then at least by doing that, I don't know if that's just for one viewing of it or if that's for just having it on there permanently to watch.
I think Premier Access lets you. It's basically just Premier Access. From what I've seen now, is just Premier Access to anything. And then anything that lands on Premier Access availability, like anything that comes out, like Cruella did, for instance.
Yeah,
that's how that was watchable.
90 days post today will be the day it's on Disney Plus for free anyway, which I think, if I worked out correctly, is the 7th of October.
Right.
So, 90 days from today.
Hey Google, what's 90 days from today?
I think.
Hey
90
Google,
days from today.
What is 90 days from today? We're gonna get the answer.
It won't know. It's as bad as Siri or Alexa.
Thursday the 7th.
No, Alexa, I'm not asking you. Sorry.
All right, don't speak up.
I was
then.
right.
Thursday the 7th of October. Yeah. But
she doesn't like you today.
Well, I even maxed out the volume. Like, okay, don't talk. Right though, Black Widow itself.
She's camera shy, and I don't want to talk. She's podcast shy or whatever, audio shy. But this is why you can't get a girlfriend, Pat. You just don't.
I know. This is the reason. Is because whenever I try and introduce Google, she's silent. Doesn't want to speak up.
No, I'm kidding, ladies. This guy is a legend. You should definitely go for it.
Link in the bio.
Check him out on Tinder.
We don't even have our profiles on the website. I just realised that. We've promoted ourselves at least 2 or 3 times on Fortune Theory, and we're nowhere to be seen. Just the Fortune Theory bios. Check them out. Yeah. We're redirected through that. Yeah.
Also, we're starting up a new playlist called Unfortunate Theory with all of our bloopers as well.
The next
so feel
funny
free to check that out.
Moment will be
we got our next
very soon.
Coming out in the next few days.
Yeah. But check out the original.
Which will count as a normal episode as well, but it will be part of that series too. But we'll talk about that later. Not like it really matters anyway, just for anyone who's interested. Anyway, Black Widow, the whole reason you're here. So spoiler warning now. You've got 5 seconds to go away, watch it on either Disney Plus. It's available there
Spoilers
now.
In 5, 4, 3,
3,
Two,
2,
1.
1.
There was delay, so I stopped counting down.
Yeah, so fuck you if you're still here. 1, 0. Right, let's go. So, the film itself, it opens in, I think it's the year 1995 in Ohio. And
yes, I can't remember which year.
I think correctly. You might want to look that up and elaborate whilst I'm explaining.
Mhm.
So you've got young Natasha Romanoff, who I thought she was a boy.
Not gonna
in that
lie,
opening
okay. Not to sound discriminating, not even
No.
discriminating. She has a slightly boyish face. I get what you mean by that at the moment.
Yeah, I
was
did.
like,
I didn't know if it was. I think someone did say it was a male actor, but I didn't know straight away if it was or not. I'm
wouldn't know.
probably completely wrong, so I do apologize about that. She's got blue hair, which I'm assuming is that, would that be hair dye, or is that wouldn't be natural, would it? Blue hair.
I doubt that's
for a child.
natural.
Yeah.
It's chosen.
It's quite distinctively like separate, so I think that's like helping the audience understand that obviously she is a character that does go through multiple different hair colors, and that's like kind of a play on the idea of that, of her multiple identities. And she knows about obviously just like her parents, because like they're living in Ohio, and she's living with her adopted parents, who are played by David Harbour, who plays the father, who plays Alexei Shostakov, who in the comics is Red Guardian.
You
which
know
is
the
something
last name so well.
takes up. It's because I love the character.
1991.
Yeah. Oh, no, oh, okay, not that far.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell, really?
25 years apparently later. Yeah.
Yeah. She yeah, so they're the adopted parents. They're like faking these American accents to come across as, you know, obviously Americans, because they're like in the spy game, they're like, you know, hiding undercover. And then one evening, Alexei comes back from work and he's like, kids, you know that big adventure I told you we were going to go on? Like, you're going to go on it, and you can kind of tell, like, based off the parents' conversation, it's like some sort of espionage shit. Like, you don't know what's going on. And then there's this massive action sequence where they get on an airplane and the mother gets injured, and then they, is it Russia they go to?
No, it's Cuba, I think was the yeah.
Cuba.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did they actually film in Cuba? Because the only film I know that's actually been filmed in Cuba is Fast and Furious 8.
I mean, they might have, you know,
that'd be
studios, location.
And then they meet with, when they get there, they meet, give them a medical treatment, and they knock out the children, and then we meet the villain of the film called Dreykov, who's been referenced in previous MCU films. In the first Avengers film, Loki says to Black Widow about her, like, her red ledger and how, like, you know, killing Dreykov's daughter was on it. That gets touched upon a lot in this film, because you've got Dreykov, who's the main villain, who's kind of like this, you know, Russian like kingpin, who's got this entire army of women under this sort of like mind control, bit similar to like Bucky Barnes' Winter Soldier. And basically the only thing that can break them free of this control is this like red mist, which I can't remember the name of. But basically
it's basically a neurotoxin, isn't it, in the air that can be injected.
Done it in the face, and it affects that part of the brain which has the control or any like manipulation over it. So it makes you like sort of, it's like taking an antidepressant and you become free of it.
I mean, I've never
in a way, but it's actually an antidepressant that works.
Right.
It's actually like an antidepressant that actually works in a way.
Well, it's mind control. Yeah. So
mind control. So you're free of the.
You're not really you, basically. You are you physically, but you are controlled by someone else. As literally shown by Natasha and her sister's like mum when they like the pig was the dumbest scene I think I've ever watched ever. It was hilarious. And that cut, as soon as that happened, we'll know when we find it. David Harbour just cut to a bunch of pigs on a farm. Rachel Weisz.
And the fact that she cuts off the oxygen to one, I thought, that's a bit fucking morbid, isn't it? For like a, you know, an average universal, like, is it universal or is it 12A? I'd want to say 12A because of
might be
content.
12A. I mean,
Marvel or PG-13 or whatever.
Because we were talking about how it's quite for you anyway, the
UK fans, that's British broadcast film classification, so the ratings of it. Yes,
yeah,
we know our lecturers will be watching this from when we did college and uni. So yes,
thank
we
you.
do learn.
We
stuff,
remembered.
So thank you. So I hope you're happy.
I remember we were talking about
Sign us
how
up to uni, please. our next years.
for
I need to do
you.
level 4. I need to do
I'm fine. I'll get to the point in a minute. That when the opening titles after the family are getting away, I know we were saying how you found that quite eye-opening for you. It was like explaining everything, that, like the creation of like these mind control camps for you. That was quite like.
The only issue I had with the opening is that I felt it took too long. But they needed it to play out that way because they needed to explain they needed to cover a lot of ground, and they managed to do it in this one massive opening sequence. And then they cut to like a kind of Incredible Hulk almost like opening, where it's like a montage of scenes whilst the opening credits and song are playing, and it's like her and her sister being taken as part of many like young girl victims of Dreykov, who are then going to be mind controlled and forced to grow up and be raised and trained as part of his army of like female assassins. And
which we find out exactly how and like why in the end, which is just like
they all get medically
and
sterilized and sent to basically create and end wars and do anything.
Basically, the exposition of that is through what's her sister's name? Natasha's sister?
Yelena Belova.
Because she was like sterilized and completely unable to be reproductive.
Yeah, and at the beginning of she even explains it as well, which I think was quite. It's played off for laughs, but it's very intense. It's just like
you had the exact same reaction as David Harbour, didn't you? Like, no need to go so intense with it. I had a real problem with the accents because here's the thing, right? One of the biggest critiques I had against it is, I understand if you are a Russian family. At first, I was thinking, well, why Natasha and her sister talking to each other in like American English when they like were both brought up in Russian, but then again they were brought up in America, and so that makes sense. But when they're talking to their parents, and when the parents are talking to each other, or the parents, spoiler alert, is that
why they're not doing the Russian accent initially?
Is
that what you
mean? Well, just throughout the entire thing, it's kind of selective.
I think it's kind of, at first it's like an audience thing for exposition, and then it's like
because the interesting thing is that they did it selectively. Like when they land in Cuba, I think it is Cuba, they like Natasha like goes to protect her sister.
Like he was faking it was almost like Alexi's character was faking the character was faking the Russian accent when he got back.
Yeah,
but he wasn't. He was faking the American accent. Because in the comics, all of those characters are Russian.
Yeah,
including well, I don't know so much about Black Widow herself, but I know all the other characters are Russian in the comics, or have that Russian-like accent anyway. It is a Russian accent, right? Just before I get that wrong.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah,
it sounds Russian. So yeah,
most definitely Russian, if not somewhere in Eastern Europe. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it
found it that like there were moments, for instance, when Natasha like goes to protect her sister, she like shouts out in Russian and a bit of English American again. And then throughout the film, there's different, like when they're all talking as a family, wouldn't they be talking in Russian? But I don't know.
I think they are, but they're just like, they want to keep this idea of like their Ohio experience because it was a nice experience for them. Like Yelena saying, like, it was true, it was real to me. I believed it. It was real to me. Like, you are my sister, you are my parents. Like, this scenario is real for me. Like, our family, our home.
Because there are a few moments when there are captions.
I think that's why she's not saying anything in the Russian Latin, like, language. And she's speaking in like, she's speaking in her natural accent, but she's and I think that's more just because of how she was raised with, when she was growing up part of Dracov's control. But I think naturally she is American, which is how she's
Well, the
obviously able to
kid,
speak English.
Natasha and her sister are American, like born, aren't they?
So with her, it's come of growth. For like characters like Alexei, for him, it's a memory thing. His character's played off for comic relief a bit more than I thought it was going to be. And that scene where they were breaking out of prison, I think he almost forgot what production he was in. I think he thought he was in like Stranger Things season 4, because despite like only the difference is he's got loads of hair rather than none, according to that teaser trailer. Unless that's like a robot version of him or something, I don't know. A lot of shit about robots today, I've noticed. But yeah,
we find out who Taskmaster is.
In the comics, it was a character named Tony Masters, and turns out, like I said, it was important. Dracov's daughter, who I don't know if it was like a sort of Brixton Law kind of thing from Hobbs and Shaw, where it was like he died and then they got resurrected or something. Because the whole point was that Natasha killed Dracov's daughter as a target for a reason. Do you understand why she had to do that? I don't really get that, to be honest. I don't know if that was like to get there or something.
I mean, if anyone knows, it would be you out of us two. But yeah, it's a bit more deep story. Yeah. I wouldn't just another target.
That was when like she was free of it, and then she was trying. She was it was his last. Oh no, this is why. It's because it was her last assignment to get into Shield, when she was trying to prove herself redeemable. That's what. But for whatever reason, they said that that's what she had to do. And I don't know if that's because she had to do that to get to him or something. And then either her or Clint Barton's Hawkeye actually killed Dracov, or believably did anyway, at the time.
I found, Dracov a bit... I mean, the entire story for me, personally,
He reminded me of that bloke from 2012 who's like the wrestling champ guy. Who's the rich billionaire? Engine start.
He seemed a bit like I mean, he is obviously a very stereotypical villain and had a very stereotypically villainous sort of agenda. I
hated his like, his whole thing regarding like how obviously he mistreated women, but that's the point, isn't it? Like, how
obviously retwist the words to make it sound. I recycle the ones that were like left out in the rubbish, or like left out in the trash.
He kills the worthless ones that aren't like worthy of a cause for his fight, and he'll keep the strong ones and have them as like best, and then he'll assign them places around the world where they can cause the most damage to his will, basically, and he'll do nothing.
In
but
reality,
control
he's just a monster of the world that wants to try and control all the women.
He's got his daughter Antonia, who he uses as like his biggest pawn, who's like in this.
That is even more like fucked up part about it, is that he uses his own daughter in his own regime
as part of his like, and the fact that she's kind of dead, he uses to his advantage as well. And like, is it just me, or like, because obviously the character is thought to have been male by pretty much all the fans, and obviously they've gone the female route of it because it turns out her name is Antonia Dracov. Like, once they revealed the mask off, did you find that there was more like of a feminine movement in her character's body after that?
That might be on purpose, though, because it is a female,
Because then it's a female. You then know it's a female character.
Well, I mean, like, because it was explained in the thing, like you've explained to me, isn't it? Taskmaster literally, like the power is it's able to Taskmaster mimcs whoever they're fighting, whoever it is fighting. It's like
that's the ability. Yeah. Like they made it almost come across as like it was a sort of cybernetic.
So
thing.
I guess to like de-identify with Taskmaster.
Actually has that. Tony Masters in the comics actually has that personality skill set. He doesn't need the suit or like specific like techno like techno personality or whatever. Techno brain cyborg. I can't even speak today. Cyborg brain to like figure that out. Like it's just in his personality. So I don't know if that's like Antonia's got that mindset, or if it's like part of what the suit picks up for her and like injects into her memories. And that's how she's able to do it. Plus, like she's half like.
Well, I mean, you can tell every time her helmet is taken off, she's sort of. I feel like almost a neurotoxin. Not that it comes off, in her
eye movements. In her eye movements, you can tell there's something a bit robotic about it.
Yeah,
almost.
I think the helmet definitely helps her, like, keep in the Taskmaster sort of like identity, not just to others, but to herself as well. Because
and
whenever
also
it comes
to avoid
off,
getting the red, and also to avoid the ever being hit by the red mist
yeah,
in combat, which is the only time she'd ever be
I
deployed
feel like that's
because
been
Dreykov
used
only used
so much in all these types of stories. In some
what
sort of like, there's always some sort of thing like that.
it's
It's
a
almost it's the
MacGuffin.
yeah, exactly, and it's very much like this is just Marvel's version of that.
Well, to be honest, there hasn't really been much MacGuffins in Marvel. Like you had the Infinity Gauntlet and the Stones, and those combined were all those separate and combined were all like MacGuffins in their own way.
Yeah,
You got the Red Mist in this film.
I mean every story has it. Well, not necessarily MacGuffin, but every story.
I don't think WandaVision had it.
Yeah,
Unless you count the Hex. The Hex is like under her control. It wasn't really the MacGuffin is her power. If you really have to think about it, but yeah,
it's
or actually no, the MacGuffin is the White Vision from Sword in a way. So it's a character. The MacGuffin is a character.
yeah. I mean it can be, yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier wasn't really the Super Soldier Serum was the MacGuffin. Yeah. In Loki, I don't. Loki, Loki, all the Lokis of the multiverse is the MacGuffin, or the Timekeepers or whatever, or the Sacred Timeline is I don't know. Yeah, and the point is there's always some form, shape, or form of a MacGuffin in a story these days, like because it's just an easy story tactic.
Well, there was a little bit of like I'm trying to just think of any differences in terms of because to me Black Widow is and I get me and Ollie probably have very different opinions on Black Widow. I find it a very generic like sort of plot that Marvel weaved obviously their story into because it's set between Civil War and Infinity War, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, it literally picks up within like I think somewhere between a couple days to a couple weeks after Civil War,
right?
Where she's on the run. So the moment she walks away from Tony Stark in the Avengers base, where he says that they're coming for you because King T'Challa told Everett Ross, Secretary Ross what she did. So you've got General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross coming after her in a similar fashion to how he pursued Hulk in the Incredible Hulk film that came out in 2008. Only he's not doing it as part of the military. He's doing it part of a special ops team because, she's not a raging monster. She's just a sort of, elite spy. And he's more of a government agent now than just standard military, sergeant.
Yeah.
Or general, whatever. I don't really understand all that sort of stuff, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
All the ranks.
Yeah, like ranks and things. Yeah, but that's not as consistent because, to be honest, I find his character just so annoying. Like, but I think that's the point.
Yeah.
Like, he's like the law and order that brings the reality to a non-realistic universe. And
used in a lot of these types of films, though. To be honest,
yeah,
these types of storylines.
Well, especially these days, I think it does help a way because it makes audiences understand that there is limitations to this if it was real, and the fact is that it wouldn't be because if it was, this is the only realistic thing about this situation is that kind of character that would come after you if you were to do these sorts of things. So, yeah.
Right.
Thought I could hear an air raid siren then. That freaked me out on my end. I was like, what the hell was that? I don't know if you heard that in the background.
I think it was too bad. Yeah, Black Widow. Pretty much is
stay for the end credits scene as well because there's the end credits scene of the transition because at the end of the film Dreykov does get killed with his henchman. Spoiler. Taskmaster is saved and the red mist is hit on her. I didn't really like that ending for her because I would have hoped that they would have used her as Taskmaster again in the future. Well, her character's still alive, but she's not under the control now, so she doesn't have a reason to be evil.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know where they're going to take that. I'm hoping they'll redeem that in the future. They played, like I said, Alexei off for laughs, and hopefully he'll get more character growth. I did like the call out to Crimson Dynamo though, who actually is Ivan Vanko, who played who was Whiplash in Iron Man 2. I think it was either his father or him. I think it was his father actually, who died at the beginning of Iron Man 2. Was the Crimson Dynamo in the comics, and they were part of some like Russian Avengers team, like a kind of a mix between good characters and bad characters. And Red Guardian was on it, and she calls him Yelena. When she gets upset, she calls him the Crimson Dynamo, and then he corrects her after that. And he's like, it's actually the Red Guardian. She's like, get out. And then like he starts singing, this will be the day that I die. And then he gets shot by this like, knockout darts. And I thought that's the most retarded thing I've ever seen. That shot of him getting shot by them all was the most retarded thing I've ever seen. You could tell by that point his character was nothing more than comic relief and exposition about where the Iron Maiden was, who is his wife or girlfriend, or I think they're married. I don't know. I can't tell.
Pretty sure they're married. Yeah.
He's a little bit like Drax
married,
in the sense
set up married, maybe. At
yeah.
least. Yeah.
He is a little bit like Drax in the sense of giving unnecessarily and unwanted exposition about their sexual life, and you're kind of like, I don't want to hear this shit. Yeah, like can you stop talking?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting overall. I think they have spoken about doing a sequel, which hopefully will bring all three of those main characters back. Yelena is definitely going to be the next Black Widow. That's for certain. At the end of the film, before Black Widow goes off to basically what sets her up to be joining Captain America and Falcon, when she's on the run for like 2 years before Infinity War, she gets the green vest from Yelena, which I knew was going to happen, and also as inspiration for feeling inspired by her sister for not only finally taking down Dreykov, but also going on the mission around the world that she basically started once she got hit by the Red Mist and redeemed herself. She's now going to go around and free all the other sleeper agents. Well, I suppose that's the wrong term, really. Just all the other lady assassins that still work for Dreykov and do his bidding, despite him. It's over now. So that's up to her. And Red Guardian and Iron Maiden are going to go with her and help her basically do that. And whilst Natasha's still on the run from Everett Ross, and she rejoins the Avengers because she knows that there's a chance they can get the family back together now, as in the Rogue Avengers. So that sets that up. And then as an inspiration, being inspired by her sister going on that mission, she dyes her hair blonde as well, which also helps keep her undercover. So that's why she's blonde and got the green vest in Infinity War. And and then we cut to the end credit. We cut to the end credit scene where they show that and her sort of her sort of contact and supplier who manages to get her a Quinjet. So that would be the stolen Quinjet that Everett Ross references in Infinity War. And then you cut to the end credit scene where Yelena's finally got a dog that she said she wanted to have. Called I think he or she's called Fanny as well. So I thought was quite funny because that was like almost re-referencing one of the identities that Natasha had. Natasha was going to be given by her dealer. I think it was Fanny Longbum or something was the name of one of her identities, or was it? I can't remember now. Something like that. Anyway, it was quite funny. It was quite funny. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was a reference to that or if it was just what she'd like call a dog. And she visits her grave, which is in a nice like forestry area under those trees that have that glitter thing about them. I don't know what that was all about.
That made no sense to me.
All
that
I know from
last
that is
bit of a shot. Yeah.
all that. The only thing that I remember from that was Scarlett. Why do I keep saying Scarlet Witch? Black Widow's Natasha Romanoff's biological mother. When she died, she was buried under a tree like that. So it's quite reminiscent that she was as well. And then Valentina or Val, if you like, from The Falcon and the Winter Soldier turns up. So that's like a big like, oh my God, it's her again. Like, so the whole connectivity. And then she basically says, why don't we talk about you taking a blow at the person responsible for your sister's death? Gets out an iPad and shows a picture of Hawkeye, obviously dressed in his Ronin outfit, and then obviously we got the Hawkeye series coming out later this year where he's going to train Kate Bishop, who's the young Avenger version of Hawkeye. They are leading up to the young Avengers. There's too much going on to say that they are. You've got Wiccan and Speed, who can literally age up to the appropriate teenage age. They'll be brought back in Doctor Strange 2, which comes out later this year, I think. Later this year or next year, I think, actually. I'm not sure. You've got Patriot, who is Isaiah Bradley's grandson, who appeared in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Who else? You got the kid Loki, who could easily be a villain in that series because the kid Loki was a villain in the Young Avengers series before. I even guest starred in a fan film we made at college called The Young Avengers, where a kid Loki is a villain. Who else? Hulkling could easily be brought into She-Hulk. There's other characters too. I've gone mind blank. Obviously, yeah, Kate Bishop, who's going to be brought into the Hawkeye series. So you've got 4 members there. Who else? Who else is there?
You'll forget. You'll immediately remember.
There's a Captain Marvel character as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, sorry. Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel, that's it. She'll be a member as well for sure, and 1 or 2 other people as well that they're bringing in or they've mentioned about bringing in. It's all gonna go straight to it. Young Avengers. That's what it's one of the things they're building up towards. But yeah, Yelena will be back in Hawkeye by the sounds of it. So that'll be interesting. Either that or they're going to do Thunderbolts thing, because I think Valentina's role is meant to be like Nick Fury's in Phase 1, where she's bringing together all these new people for a new team. So that'll be interesting to see where they're going to go with that. Anything else that you can think of that you wanted to talk about?
Well, we've continued from where Black Widow goes now, basically up to Young Avengers. You explained pretty well. No. And
personally, I think like they kind of needed to do it in a way to redeem like Yelena Belova's character and like to bring that story all round circle, so like she could basically become the next Black Widow, because it wouldn't have worked if well, actually it could have. Oh god. Bear with, sorry. It could have worked because it doesn't take Natasha Romanoff to red mist her, and the moment she gets like her mind back, she then knows what to do and she goes after Natasha to like help her. But she could have done that with Hawkeye because she knows who Clint Barton's Hawkeye is. Like she knows of him anyway. She could have been like, "Oh, I saw you guys were close. Like, do you want to help me do this?" I really thought he was going to be in the film as well. He was mentioned and obviously appeared in a picture, and that was about it. And I was like, really? I thought he was going to at least get a cameo or something.
Yeah.
When they had the end credits scene, the one before the main credits, I was really hoping that like the Falcon was going to be there. Or like, you know, I didn't know about Steve Rogers.
No.
Chris Evans. I didn't like, something told me that it makes sense for them to be there with the Quinjet, but the fact that they weren't, I was like, is it because they're inside? Is it because, you know, she's gonna get them? Like, I don't know what's going on with this, but yeah, like, it would have been cool to see a Falcon cameo at least.
Yeah,
you know, because that would have made that would have made at least somewhat sense. It'd be like, you know, Cap's inside, let's go. You could have like literally said something like that, and it'd be like, oh, awesome Easter egg, you know. But they chose not to do it that way.
They might have set up too much more than they want to just leave you with, which is basically that.
Well, we know the fact is that we know what happens anyway, so we don't really need to like have it all fully there.
No. But there
I suppose. So that's fair enough.
Well, we've
if you think there's anything you want us to elaborate on,
comment below. Let us know what you think.
Comment below.
And
hopefully you'll enjoy it. Like we said, it's $19.99 on Disney Plus, but on the 7th of October it'll be free to watch. I think roughly around then anyway, either the 6th, 7th, or 8th of October it'll be free to watch on Disney Plus anyway. So look forward to that, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Catch it in theaters if you don't want to watch it on Disney Plus for a cheap price. See you later, guys.
Thanks for watching.